Today, and why I have a smile on my face, is the beginning of Elder Flower season.
Can see the pollen coming off it.
So we'll take 25 of these flowers, elder flowers, make sure the insects are off them so we can put them on some newspaper or something and let them crawl away. And then once we pop them in the freezer bag, we can freeze those ready, and that will make a batch ready to make into cordial. This is the eldest of our elder trees. We put it over here on the north side to face the north wind, and it does okay. It obviously dies back in the winter, but it's in the shade, grows fine, flowers very well, as you can see. Sambucus nigra in the Adoxaceae family. We'll talk a bit more about that family a little bit later on, also commonly known as moscatel. You can hear the goldfinches going by, as well as that distant plane. So as well as being on the north side, we have some of these trees at the back of our house for good reason, which we'll talk about later. We don't have rowan trees at the front door. The mythology might say that we should do, but the rowan flowers, very similar to the elder flowers, probably slightly smaller. They come earlier and they're also foul smelling. So if you want to talk about catweed, then they smell like that and actually worse. But for good reason, there's a chemical there that's supposed to attract the flies to pollinate them. There we go. Lovely. Wonderful. Approximately 25. Ready to go. And we'll just let the bugs get off the flowers, so we'll leave them on the table for a little while, and we'll wrap them up in these cloths and shake them outside. And hopefully that should get most of the little insects and things off there. And then we can put them in the freezer bag. And there we go, just making sure we label them up. And from some elder flowers and gooseberries we already had frozen up, this is elder flower and gooseberry jam. And these are the strawberries I just picked. Yeah, I don't know about you, when I think about elder trees, I always think that they have this sort of connotation related to something religious or spiritual. That name elder, yeah, inspires some sort of a priestly aspect. And when you think about it, there may be reasons. I mean, some of these names come up from sort of medieval times, and the elder, in fact, is used in lots of different areas in old medieval history that would possibly make people think that they had this cleansing aspect. They have the white flowers, of course, which I'm picking at the moment. So these white flowers, along with maybe rowan trees, are important, I suppose, in thinking of things in a cleansing, pure form. So medieval times and beyond that, houses would often have a rowan tree at the front door, their nice white blossom, and they would have these elders at the back. And they used to feel that the elder tree would keep them safe from evil spirits or from the devil, which is a nice sort of a thought to have. But I think of things maybe a little bit, I don't know, there's something more, isn't there? Life and death was much more real probably back then. So this idea of a spiritual, almost a godly aspect would have been related to health. And so the tree itself would have had uses that would have meant that the people lived longer or were healed from certain ills. And I think that's true in every sense when you think about maybe some of the modern uses of today. We have the elderberries which are on the tree, and even I think there is some science now that says or tells us that there may be some evidence that taking elderberry syrup early on during the flu, that you might recover more quickly, and that you might get less of the effects, especially around the sore throat aspect and the cough. So that maybe was something they used a lot back then. The Elder Flower Cordial, which we're going to be making ourselves, is good for the stomach. Quite calming for the stomach. So maybe those connotations come from there. I mean, even looking at the flowers, it makes you quite cheerful. So that's another aspect. But there would have been other things such as flies. So our forest at the moment has lots of flies in it, but actually here there are none at all. So that would have been really important back then if they had the elder trees at the back, if they were making something in the kitchen and they were washing and cleansing things afterwards, they used to hang their old cheesecloths to dry on the elder trees, so the flies wouldn't come around them, so there was no infection going on there. And if they had bread, they would often bring it out and put it underneath the elder tree to dry, because again there were no flies around. So you can see that again there's this sort of medicinal idea or this cleansing that elders had that would have been good for health and therefore a spiritual thing. So I like these ideas that well, you can sort of think about while you're doing a bit of gardening, that sort of make gardening even more interesting. Instead of just trying to remember the name, the botanical name related to elder, you can think of why they were named a certain thing. So elder, so we know it's an elder tree. So the old or the Anglo-Saxon or the Old Saxon name would have been eld. I think the Norse would have been eldir, and eled is the Old English name for fire. And of course, fire back then would have been another cleansing idea, wouldn't it? So often if there was disease in anything, that you would burn it to cleanse it. So again, it brings that sort of connotation out, which I like. And it something that I'm just thinking is going to my mind now, that let me show you something actually. This is some of my handiwork. So this is a flute that I've made from the wood of our own elder. This elder tree. So this is a flute, and one of the good aspects of this tree is that sometimes right on the inside you can get branches where there's nothing actually inside the stem. You don't want to use that. You want to use maybe a thicker branch that has a pith in it, so you can actually knock out the pith in the centre. I'm not sure if you can see this, but so you take the pith right out, and then you're left with the wood on the outer edge. You can maybe see there, which goes right through, and from that you can make a flute. But thinking about the fire aspect again, they used to use the fact that they'd have these hollowed out centres, or centres that they could hollow out and blow at the base of the fire. So they would help the fire light in the first place. So again, that's related to fire. So again, it's related to a use. So fire, cleansing. But what about the other name, Sambucus, which is the botanical name the Greek name. From Sambucus, I think. So Sambucus means musical instrument or a wind instrument in particular. So yeah, like this flute. I made this little whistle as well. I should show you if it works, shouldn't I? This whistle, again made from elder, and there's no end to my skills. I made a tiny little one here as well, which hopefully works. Yeah, so there you go. It's a connection to your forest. It helps you feel connected in some way, and again, it's around the use of something. So musical instruments. So they used to believe actually if you played music from something from an elder tree, it would invite the fairies to come, or maybe they would listen in. Interesting. I think there's something else related to fairies in terms of that bread I talked about earlier, that if you put the bread to cool underneath the elder tree, if you left it there for the night, then it was for the fairies. Apparently, if it's midsummer, you would meet a fairy under the elder tree. Fantastic. I say all these things are related to uses, aren't they? So Sambucus was this, woodwind instrument, flute or whistle. So that's interesting in itself, isn't it? And also, I think about Sambucus. I'm not talking about the drink, by the way. Sambucus, I think, is the Latin, which means, again, a musical instrument, but a harp. So a triangular type harp. I've not made one of those, but again, there's a connotation, a sort of a relaxing feel that comes from listening to music, an ethereal feel, a spiritual feel, which connects us to the elder and the priestly idea, doesn't it? So it's nice to ponder on and to think about. So there's something else that I'm pondering on as well. The thought, I suppose, that this tree itself would become a friend, something that you could connect with, because of the things that it brought into your home or into your family environment and the connection that you had with it. So yes, Sambucus, by the way, the drink, the alcoholic drink, which is made, I think, from star anise and licorice, was originally made from elderberries. So it's a sort of a liqueur. So Sambucus does relate to elder trees. So if you wondered about that, there is a link there to it. There's also this link to elder trees being trees of wisdom. And again, it may have been because often people would sit underneath them. And some would call them the mother tree. Again, I think it would be related to the time that people could spend with them. So this is Sambucus nigra. The nigra, obviously, because of the black pearl-like berries. There's another called Sambucus canadensis, which is an American, North American version, which has slightly bigger berries. So canadensis is worthwhile getting it. We tried some, but it didn't take, but I think it's because I put it too close to the wind in the first place. So I'm going to put another one in the centre of the forest and see how that gets on, because it'd be nice to have some bigger berries on them. Just remember, as I've said already, about the glycosides. So there are aspects of it that are poisonous as well. It is great, but glycosides are not good for you. So if you were going to burn it, for example, burn it outside. You don't want to be burning elder wood on your fire. Not a particularly good idea to have sort of cyanide floating around your house. So there are always health warnings with some of these ideas. So that's the elder tree, and I think that's all I'm going to cover on the elder tree for the time being. I definitely would advise you to get one or two, and of course you can make cuttings quite easily from it, and then you can have your forest or garden filled with them, and you can have as many drinks as you would like. So that's elder tree. Thanks for joining us once more on the Far North Food Forest. We'll see you again soon.